Good morning, grab your cup. I wanted to talk about burnout, adrenal fatigue, when you feel like you're totally shot. If you've ever been there, raise your hand. What really happens with burnout is when we've been stressed for so long, sort of like a spectrum, we go from stressed to overwhelming stress to total burnout. And when we get to burnout, when those adrenals are really saying, I can't keep pumping out cortisol at this rate anymore, the nervous system says, you're right, you can't. It's going to cause a lot of problems. So it shuts down that normal cortisol response, and then we feel really flat. We feel no energy. We can't get our adrenaline up to deal with whatever we need to deal with. That's burnout. We also don't feel any joy. The things that used to make us happy don't really make us happy anymore. They just feel like one more burden. Whether it's exercise or spending time with your kids, it just feels like a chore. And the way that we get to that point really starts with the way that we deal with stress, because stress is the beginning of the spectrum. And if we keep dealing with stress the way that we do, and life keeps happening, then we start to feel overwhelmed. So it might occur to you as a really busy schedule, or you've got a lot of things that you manage, and I'm sure that you do, and I'm sure the schedule is full. But the way that you deal with it is going to determine whether you just deal with life and with stress and keep living easily and well, or whether you move down that spectrum into overwhelm and into burnout. And burnout shows up not only in our physical body, although that's really, really obvious, but it shows up in our relationships. Like no energy to put into our relationships anymore. It shows up in the way that we show up in the world everywhere. People notice. So the way that you manage your stress is going to determine whether you get further on that spectrum or not. And the way that you manage your stress got decided many, many years ago when you were little. So if you had things in your childhood that required you, in order to survive, in order to cope with what was happening, it required you to step up and fill gaps. If there was an alcoholic or drug addict in the family, and as a parent, if there was maybe a single parent or a single mom, and there was a gap that even as a 5-year-old you saw needed to be filled, and you stepped up and filled it. Let me help extra. Let me be extra good so that my father doesn't get mad. Let me do things perfectly because my mom needs me to be that way. And it worked at the time. It worked to keep peace in the house, or it worked to help the parent that your little big heart or your big little heart saw needed the help. And it worked as a way for you to feel safe in a household where there was a gap. But then we keep learning that that's the way to do life. We keep doing it that way because it's the thing that worked. And it's what we decided is the way we need to be. And that's where the problem comes in, because as more and more circumstances show up, if you keep trying to do it perfectly, if you keep trying to be the one that just handles it for others, if you keep trying to be the one that needs other people's acknowledgement in order to really feel better about yourself, then you get further and further away from yourself and further away from balance. And eventually burnout is what shows up. So it is those core patterns, those early beliefs and experiences that set up what you're doing now. And if it's not working now, then those are the things that need to be rewired. Those are the things that I learned I had to take on. I grew up in an alcoholic household. It's the things that created or really contributed to, in a big way, my health issues, which is why I got into health and wellness. And it's the thing now that I help my clients who, whether they have health issues or not, just don't want to feel burned out, stressed, overwhelmed, unhappy, missing joy all of the time. So that's what I do because it's a really big deal. Have a great day.